Stocking up on desire. Tony, the handsome loan officer with a kinky stocking fetish, walks into the Seductive Situations Club, where he sees a sexy dancer named Stallion enticing the crowd, causing the club to be flooded with whistles and cheers. Tony couldn't tear his eyes away from the stage, as Stallion, under the spotlight, moved with a grace that entranced him. Her long, toned legs seemed to go on forever, encased in sheer black stockings that hugged every curve. As she twirled around the pole, Tony felt a heat rising within him that had nothing to do with the crowded club around him. He was drawn to her like a moth to a flame, unable to resist her magnetic pull. Stallion's movements were like poetry in motion, drawing every eye in the club to her effortlessly. She had long flowing hair that cascaded down her back as she spun and twirled on the stage, her curves accentuated by the sensual red lighting. Tony couldn't tear his gaze away from her, captivated by the way she moved with such grace and confidence. As the music pulsed through the room, Stallion's eyes locked with Tony's, a sly smile playing on her lips as she beckoned him closer with a crook of her finger. Tony felt a rush of excitement surge through him as he made his way through the crowd towards her, eager to get closer to this mysterious and alluring woman. After her performance, Stallion made her way over to Tony at the bar. Her eyes sparkled mischievously as she slid onto the stool next to him, crossing her legs provocatively. Tony cleared his throat, feeling the heat rise in his cheeks as he tried to maintain his composure. "Can I buy you a drink?" he offered, his voice betraying his nervousness. Stallion smiled, a tantalizing glint in her eye. "I think I'd like that," she purred, ordering a glass of champagne. Tony watched her pink lips as she took a sip, the bubbles tickling her nose. The dim lights of the club seemed to intensify around them, casting shadows on Stallion's flawless skin. "So what's your real name?" Tony asked, looking deep into her eyes. "My real name is Parker, but I prefer Stallion." As they chatted, Tony found himself drawn to Stallion's magnetic personality. She was witty, intelligent, and had a sharp sense of humor that matched his own. Before he knew it, they were laughing and sharing stories like old friends. Suddenly, Stallion leaned in closer, her breath warm against Tony's ear. "Care to join me for a private dance?" she whispered seductively. Tony's heart raced as he nodded eagerly, unable to resist the pull he felt towards this enigmatic dancer. They made their way to the VIP area, secluded from the rest of the club. As Stallion started to move to the music, Tony felt himself becoming entranced once again. Her body moved with a fluidity that was mesmerizing, each movement calculated yet full of raw passion. After the lap dance, Tony asked if he could take her out on a date sometime soon. Tony couldn't believe his luck when Stallion agreed to go out with him. As they sat in the dimly lit bar, Tony found himself mesmerized by the way her long legs seemed to go on forever. Stallone caught him staring and smirked, knowing the effect she had on him. As the night went on, they both felt a strong connection growing between them. Tony was drawn to Stallion's confidence and independence, while Stallion was intrigued by Tony's charm and intelligence. They talked for hours, sharing stories and getting to know each other in a way neither had experienced before. When it was time to leave, Tony hesitated for a moment before asking Stallion back to his place. To his delight, she agreed without hesitation. As they walked in the door, Tony couldn't resist reaching out and running his hand along the smooth fabric of her stockings. Stallion shivered at his touch, her desire for him growing with each passing second. Arriving at Tony's lavish apartment, Stallion makes herself at home. In the warm glow of Tony's bedroom, Stallion turned to face Tony with a wicked smile playing on her lips. She slowly began to unbutton his shirt, revealing the toned muscles beneath. Tony's breath caught in his throat as Stallion pushed him gently onto the bed, her eyes never leaving his. With a slow, deliberate movement, Stallion straddled Tony, her black stockings a stark contrast against his crisp white sheets. Her touch was electric, sending shivers down his spine as she traced tantalizing patterns across his chest and down his stomach. Tony felt like he was on fire, consumed by a desire for this enigmatic woman who had captivated him from the moment he laid eyes on her. In a haze of passion and desire, Tony and Stallion came together in a whirlwind of need and lust, their bodies moving as one in a symphony of pleasure. As the world outside faded away, all that mattered was the connection they shared in that moment. Afterwards, as they lay tangled in each other's lustful embrace, Tony was unable to tear his eyes away from the glint of satisfaction in Stallion's eyes. He could feel her heart pounding against his chest in rhythm with his own. "This was truly magical," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of their pounding hearts. "I never imagined that one night could change my life so completely. Yet here we are." Stallion's fingers softly traced patterns on Tony's skin, her eyes locked on his. "It was more than just magic, Tony. It was destiny," she replied, a sense of warmth and contentment radiating from her body. With the weight of their newfound connection heavy on their hearts, they drifted off to sleep, held close in each other's arms. As the night wore on, Tony couldn't help but feel that something had changed between them. He knew that this was more than just a one-night stand, and the allure of Stallion's seductive dance and stockings was just the beginning. As the night slowly gave way to dawn, Tony couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness creeping in. He knew that the spell of Seductive Situations Club was about to break, and reality would come crashing down on them. But their night together was magical. In the days that followed, Tony and Stallion began to explore the city together, drawn to each other. They sampled the finest restaurants, danced the night away at trendy clubs, and spent lazy afternoons lounging in the park, their hands occasionally brushing together when no one was looking. As the weeks turned into months, their relationship deepened as Tony and Stallion learned more about each other's hopes, dreams, and fears. They spoke openly about their evolving relationship and how a sexy pair of stockings ignited lust, introduced passion, and hopefully create love for years to come.